The 70s and 80s were debaucherous for many, and certainly in the artist community. And you are no stranger to that. Many of your friends, artist friends, performers, and probably behind the scenes as well, have passed away. You have lived a very long life so far, and hopefully much longer. But my question was really like, I know that at a certain point you made a choice to care for your physical self and take care because of some medical
things. There's a dual thing going on with me. Because I started doing yoga in 1970. The cocaine thing hit in later, but because I'd established it early enough in my nervous system, most of those days, I mean, it was fucking cocaine. Just how loony I was. You know, you do like an hour and a half of yoga, snip up half of New York, and you get to very strange states.
This sounds like what you're saying is sort of yoga and cocaine. There was a moment in your life, or maybe it was a long moment, where both had a symbiotic relationship. I remember interviewing Steve Jones a while back, and he also said heroin and brown rice was his version of what you're saying, which is yoga and cocaine, right? That basically you straddled the fence between, self-care and self-harm for many years. At what point did you say, you know what, I'm going to put self-harm on the shelf and I'm going to go for self-care only? What year was that?
That was not a gradual thing. That was, although it was building for a few days, that was when I had quadruple bypass heart surgery in December. People have often asked me, don't you ever feel tempted? That's it. Let me tell you something. One thing I learned something about pain. Pain clears the brain out of indulgences. The thing about New York, it wasn't just the punk. It was you could get into the underground. You knew the right people. And I wanted to know everything. Now, I wouldn't do everything. I do remember taking a very pretty young lady. I mean, I was young too. To this, what was it? It was like a Friday night official orgy place. What was it? It was called? It was quite famous for a while. Well, a lot of people, you fuck anyone who would accommodate you, that kind of thing, in that atmosphere. But I took this, I never did it before, but I thought, well, I should at least bring whatever. And so Lisa came with me. And after a bit, I'm looking around going, I think I'd like you to touch my girlfriend, and I'm trying to take a wife, I can live without. So we didn't stay too long, but it was interesting. And, I mean, we go to S&M clubs, and there was one on West 19th Street, I think. I can't remember what it was called. And that was, well, I suppose if you were there, people expected you to play games. But I was a dabbler. I would dabble in a lot of things. And also, it's in my photography a little bit at a certain period. I've had periods and different muses, male, female, whatever. But it's always more or less rolled. It's never been when I'm a game player, because it wouldn't have worked with me, and I wasn't taking it that seriously. I was taking it seriously enough to want to deliver, but that's a different thing. But I also needed to make a living. And I had a wife then who's, I don't know if you've met her, Sheila Rock. She became a photographer. She's she's a very nice person.
Can I ask what year you had triple bypass? And 1996. Wow. So that's really when everything, the 70s and 80s and 90s and any kind of mucky muck closed up, right? And you started to go self-care first. You got better. You had triple bypass surgery. You got,
if you don't mind.
I'm sorry. You had quadruple bypass surgery, and then you decided, I'm going to get high off Kundalini yoga, or over time you realize that was your new drug of choice. Is that right?
It always happens incrementally.
Right.
I project, sometimes you get what you project. So in my maturity, I'm like, no, you project all that positive stuff.
If you like that video, you can see the whole thing at our Patreon page. That's right, just hit the link that you're seeing on the screen right now, and it'll take you there. And you can become a patron today and help us keep launching new artists and bringing left-of-center art and activism to a wider audience. And can't wait to see you soon.